Right, the math class. So we are discussing the math class today, and it just allows us to do a lot of different cool things like, the sine, cosine, floor, power, absolute value, and things like that, and rounding and random numbers. They're methods that have already been created. We don't have to make them. So they've already been created for us. Now we call them methods. You may think of them as functions, but methods are what we call them. And they're from a static class called math. A static class is a class that you don't have to make an object for. Now, that's going to make sense in about 2 weeks. So the basic thing that you have to understand, if you want to run, say, a method called floor, you have to put the word math before it because that's the name of the class, .floor. Now we don't have to import anything because it's already been imported for us, but it does come from a package and you can check it out with the notes that I've given you at Oracle, all the different methods that come with it. There's more than what we're going to be doing here, but these are the basic ones. All right, so this is floor, and this is math.square root and power, and these are all different methods that we're going to use. Now if I compile this, you're going to see the one problem that shows up is this one. Most of these methods, and we're going to say like almost all of them except for round, always return a double. That means that this value that's going to be stored in num1 is actually a double. So the problem with that is, from doing this like 3 times already, num1 is an int. So this is an error. So I'm just going to comment that out so you can't see it. But most of these problems, you're going to see dot zeros and things like that because it always has a value of a double. So what you may not know of is all these things, when they run, you might not understand what they're for. So let's just compile and run it. And if we compile and run it, what's going to wind up, and let me just get this out, is this is what runs. Okay, so this is what happens. I just put it in simple text because it just works a little better. The very first output that we're going to have is 19.0. So what floor does here is it gives you the floor value. So it doesn't round, it just cuts off the decimal. So in this case, this is just 19.0, and it's 19.0 because it's a double when it returns it. That's all. So it's outputting a double and 19.0, so it just basically cuts out the decimal. Square root does exactly what you think it does. It gives you the positive square root. Println the power. So the way that this is POW. It's math.pow, but POW. And in parentheses, the first thing you do is the base, and the second thing is the exponent. So if you want to raise something to the third power, the exponent would be 3, and the base would be that thing you're going to raise to the third power. That's it. So the value for this guy, it would be 6.25. Okay, so that's this value right here, 6.25. So the next one, we'll do this quick, is 3. So absolute value returns whatever value you have. So in this case, this absolute value, it's -3. So if you don't know what absolute value is, it's the distance the value is from 0 on the number line. So in this case, it's 3. Okay, so now we have values for num1, num2, num3. Remember, num2 and 1 are both ints, 3 is a double. It matters when you're running it. So then math.max, what math.max does is it gives you the maximum value of what you're working on. So in this case, the answer right here is 5. Part here, the maximum is 5. If you look at these 5 numbers, that maximum is 5 because you can nest your max values. You can nest any of these, but you have to realize it always starts with the innermost parentheses. So it's going to look at these two and say, okay, what's the max of V and W? Well, the max of V and W, well, that's W. W is the biggest, so it's going to basically say, okay, we'll do that one. W is is the biggest. So let's see the max of W and X. What's the max of W and X? Well, X. And it's just going to keep going through it. And eventually, it's going to get to the max is X, and so the output will be 5. So then here, same deal, minimum. You look at num1, num2, and num3, which is the minimum. Well, we can tell it's 1. The computer can't. So it starts here. It looks at 2 of them. And just like the max, you can only use 2 parameters, they call them, at a time. So V and W can be used here, num1, num2. It doesn't matter the order you do them, but that's just how it works. Now these do return doubles, so I should do this. Okay. This one right here, it does a ceiling. The ceiling means it's the largest integer, or no, that's a better way to say smallest integer greater than the number, the value that's in there. So what's the largest one greater than that? Well, that's 2. If you look at the next one, the ceiling of a negative, still the next, the smallest integer greater than the value. So what's the smallest integer greater than that? Well, that would be negative 1.0. All right, let's just check that one out. Sorry, check out that negative 1.0. Just make sure. Yep, there's 2.0, goes for that one. Negative 1.0 we got for that. And so look, this one is 9.99. The floor, think of it as if you have a ceiling that's 9.99, what is the smallest integer that you can get? And inside that range, and the value is 9.0. They are integers. I mean, they are doubles. So please, I can't believe I keep clicking on. So 9.0. Okay, same deal for this one. This one is, so this one's answer is negative 2.0 because it's the floor, so it goes lower. So negative 1.1 is low. What's the next integer smaller than that? Well, the next integer smaller than that is negative 2.0. So it kind of messes with your mind with negatives, but you know, that's negative numbers for you. And then finally, this last one has a number like this. So math.random chooses a random number between 0 and 1, and in this case it could be any random number that comes up. It does not need to like randomize or anything like that, but what you do have to know is that it picks a random number between 0 and 1. Okay? It includes the 0 but not the 1. This is your interval notation from math. Okay, well, we're going to deal with this more tomorrow, and we're going to be able to use this to create random numbers in any range and mostly integers. Right? Have a good day.